We got some wheel dollies, so let's decide to move this thing. What's happening, y'all? I'm back with another video here. As you can see, I moved the Challenger and the Bel Air around. I put the Challenger on some wheel dollies and just kind of pushed it around the garage. I really want to get started on this thing really soon, so I put it over here towards this side. But in the meantime, I do have a couple more things I have to get started tweaking on the Bel Air. So today I'm about to be messing with my power steering setup. So a lot of you guys don't know, but I actually have a power steering setup from a Toyota Prius in here. It's an electric power steering. It's going to the factory manual gearbox. As you can see, the rag joint or the U joint right here is already replaced with the Toyota Prius one. It was pretty easy, you know, it was pretty easy to set up for the most part. It has a little bit of stuff that I need to tweak on it. That's the reason for this video. But you guys will pretty much see an in-depth video or setup of my power steering. A lot of you guys asked for it, and I know my fabrication video of it a few years back is still up, but it don't really show 100% in depth what we did. So the reason I'm really going back and messing with it right now is because it hits the control arm. Right now, as you can see, I put a little bit of anti-seize right here because it rubs kind of bad, and I actually had to grind down a piece of the actual control arm just to get it to work. And that was on us because the way we fabbed up the bracket, it's about just ever so slightly off of where it should be. So that's what I'm gonna try to do today. Take it apart, maybe even see if I can cut this bracket up and try to refix it. All right, so the setup actually looks factory. As you can tell, you can't even tell that this thing has power steering. Everything is actually set up under the dash, and I'll show you guys right here. So whole thing is pretty much set up under here. Don't mind this terrible looking wiring under here. This is all my car's wiring. But anyways, the power steering setup is right here. It's fairly simple, and we have it going down to this bearing right here. I'm gonna take that off. We have a couple of bolts to mount. I believe one mounting bolt right here, if I remember correctly, and there's also two of them at the top of this thing. So worst case, I'm gonna have to take the dash out again, but that's only a couple screws, so we'll see. All right guys, so I'm sitting here. I just took the dash out. Luckily it's pretty much two main plugs me and my buddy hooked up in here. But as you can see, this is how the whole thing is set up. Again, don't mind all the janky wiring up in here. I did not wire this up a few years ago, but I kind of went through it to clean it up a bit, and it's obviously still not that clean. But I digress. We are talking about this power steering setup. So you can see the motor is sitting under here. You can kind of see it right there. Here is the computer, that piece right there. And so we have two mounting bolts up in here on a bracket that we fabricated. So we're just gonna go ahead and try to take those out real quick. And I don't know if I'm gonna have to take that plate out down there that we made, but I might have to, so we're gonna see. All right guys, so here it is, all the way pulled out. That's pretty much all the way down to that first U joint right here. So what we're trying to get it to not sit on this control arm. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to make it perfectly angled up in there. So yeah, I'm gonna have to definitely probably shift that bracket over just a hair. I kind of had it sitting up in there. Here's the bracket that I'm talking about. All right, so you see this bracket right here. This is the bracket that we actually made. You can see all of our welding on it. It actually came out pretty good, but the issue was that it was a little lopsided. So yeah, we got to figure out how to get this thing slightly over to where it needs to be. So we got the brakes set up off.
Matter of fact, I probably should keep it off because I want to redo the brakes sometime soon. Now that we got this 6.0 up in here. But here is the bracket. It is the brake pedal assembly. So all you have to do is disconnect. There's a little push pin that has a what is it? Not a cotter key. It's the other little thing to keep it in. All you have to do is take it out, take the push pin out, and then undo the brake reservoir and the rest of your column, and the whole thing should come out. Now, this is the part that we need to change right here. So, let me see if I can show you guys, but, oh, here it is right here. So these are the two holes that mount up right there. It's pretty simple. It's really simple setup. We have a set screw in here, just so it's connected to these splines that's on the motor. So we pretty much cut the factory shaft and put some more Toyota splines on here so it can spline up together. And then you take the little key holder as well for the splines and you put them on as well. You're not welding any splines together. This whole setup can be undone. All you have to do is undo the set screw and slide the whole thing out, and then yeah. So this whole setup is really simple. But you see I have my wiring set up this way, no big deal. I have one extra wire right here as well, just in case if I want to put anything else, maybe some hazards or something, maybe eventually. But yeah, the bracket, we need to either move it over or something because this is not gonna work. All right, some time has passed. I've been doing a lot of test fitting, installing, and removing. And so I think I might have finally got it to where it needs to be, but we are going to make sure and test fit this thing once more. Now, you see what I had to cut out of here. I had to cut a decent chunk for that that power steering motor on pretty much both sides just to get it in there. And this is where it's going to mount. You see down in here, I welded that piece on a couple years ago. And I'm gonna use that piece to try to make a little bracket, because I actually have to fit in. So I'm actually gonna keep this piece because this right here is actually right around a 1/4 inch off of where we're gonna need to weld. And let me show you guys what I'm talking about. Here is the steering column right here, but on the back of the steering column, hold on, let me grab my flashlight. On the back of the steering column, there should be 2 bolts right here. Let me move my camera. There's gonna be 2 bolt holes, one right here and one on the other side. And I actually have a little bracket in between that I had made the last time, and I'm actually gonna try to weld it onto this bracket. Now the bracket's only sitting here only because I needed to see what was the gap in between where that was and where this bracket is, so I can measure and actually probably find an angle on how far I need this thing. Man, I'm not gonna lie, it's been some days because this thing is agitating to work on, but I think I finally got it. So you can see right here, straight through the hole, it is lining up really good. It's actually not touching anymore. All I have to do is tighten up a lot of these rods and stuff where the U-joints are. I just kind of have the bolts in right now, and there's another one under there that's connected kind of to the power steering motor. That's the one that's the loosest, that's why it has so much play in it. But the new bracket is in pretty much, and yeah, so I pretty much had to cut and re-weld that piece on there just in a better position. And honestly, there's no secret to it. It's just something that you have to fabricate the best of your ability. Like I said, I had to, you know, take a couple of days on this because, dude, this getting in and out of this car, you know, with the small amount of room you got under the dash and trying to tack weld, and at first I was trying to super glue it and the piece wouldn't stay on, so then I had to tack weld it. Then I almost caught myself on fire like 3 times because, you know, all the spatter is hitting me on my neck and my back and my shoulders and all that. So yeah, it is very, very, very annoying. But as you can tell, hold on, the whole thing is finally in. So like I said, I pretty much had to cut a lot of the, you can kind of see it right there, had to cut a lot of the bracket off just so I can get the actual power steering motor to sit in there where it needs to. But it's actually sitting how it should now, and it still looks pretty factory, so I'm still really satisfied with this. All right, so I just put it all back together and hooked up the battery. So now we're about to see if it works. So let's go ahead. I tested it without this power steering on to see what it would do. It works. You guys can see.
1 week later.
Now, I think honestly, so pretty soon here, I'm gonna buy a rear valance. So I'm gonna have to take this bumper off, and I'm gonna have to take this bumper off anyway to do that patch panel. So it's pretty crunchy, and I do think I have one in the back. I might have to go look. Or no, it might be in the trunk actually. Hold on. Yeah, I have a spare one that's not as bad in the trunk. So yeah, that's gonna go ahead and go in here probably. But I'm gonna have to start taking off, you know, pretty much all of this stuff. So let's get to it. There we go. Now look at that crusty little gas tank. Alright, there's one more bolt left, and this whole thing should be coming out. So I don't want to be nowhere near it when it drops. Let me go ahead and get this glove on. Pretty sure that other side is gonna fall, but I don't really care too much because not gonna use this, not gonna sell it probably get rid of for scrap metal, because dude, this thing is not savable, not salvageable. So yeah. Now, all right, I think that's everything. Let's see. There we go. Now this thing is off. New Year's Day has passed and we are back to the car stuff. So I have this patch panel right here, and I really want to put it in. Finally want to get rid of this little patch right here. I guess it was good on my car and somebody wanted it for theirs. So yeah, y'all have seen the old videos of this car. This thing sat in the field in Oklahoma for a while, and before that I actually found out that it was in Kansas, so it sat over there too. So yeah, this thing has seen some things, and a lot of people has picked what they wanted off of this car. So I have my patch panel and I want to clean all this up. I actually want to cut this whole little piece out and clean up everything up in here, fix this little patch right up in here. And also, I probably will POR 15 this thing so it doesn't rust again. I always like to make sure and be sure that this stuff doesn't come back. All right, y'all. This little patch panel is cut out, as you can tell, sitting over here in 2 pieces. All this little dirt rust everywhere. So now what I'm about to do, I'm about to clean this whole thing up and honestly probably POR 15 it, do these patches in here, and yeah, honestly I'm gonna use regular sheet metal. I don't have the legit inner panel patch, but I'm not worried about that, honestly. We're about to patch this up with some plain Jane, I think some 18 gauge And yeah, we're just gonna call it a day. All right, so got everything cleaned up down here, and I had the new patch panel in, and I think it looks really good. Yeah, it's flat, you know, sheet metal is not the correct thing, but honestly, I'm not worried about it. If it's metal replaced, and this is on the inner skin, I'm not worried about this. You're not gonna see this. So cool, looks great. Now I have a can of POR 15 over there, so I'm about to bust out some cardboard, lay it down, and I'm about to give this thing some paint just so I can seal this thing up. So for those of you who don't know and are unfamiliar, POR 15 is paint over rust, right? So it is a rust preventative, and I've used it on this car as much as I could. I love it, honestly, and this stuff is so permanent. When I say permanent, it stays on your skin for at least 2 weeks if you get it on you. So try not to get this stuff on you. So here it is right here. Now what you gotta see here, and let this dry. I think it takes 24 hours if I remember correctly. So oh, let me grab that little piece right there too, and then we'll let this thing dry. Alright guys, don't mind the messy garage. You already know I've been busy at work, but I got another package in today. Actually, 2. So I have the left and the right side of the trunk floor. I actually got this thing from Jegs, both sides, after taxes and shipping, 300 bucks, like 308 bucks, versus paying for the whole thing and also paying for freight shipping, which would have been like $200 or $300 within itself. So I probably saved like 200 or 300 bucks, you know, buying it now. So I might as well. Now we are close to finishing up on this panel right here. Now don't mind, yeah, I cut twice and measured once, but we're not gonna worry about that because I know what I'm doing. I can fix this, no big deal. All right, like I said, y'all seen the Bel Air, and it turned out pretty decent, so I'm not too worried about it. So I'm cleaning the trunk out right now to start getting this thing cut out and replaced. And I thought about it, and I should probably take this gas tank out before. It's already dented in pretty bad. It's really rusty, and I actually already have the replacement. I got it a while back, so I knew I was gonna need it, and I actually got it for a Christmas present from my wife. Shout out her. So yeah, we're just about to go ahead and get this thing out. Yep, this thing was done for. Trunk is all cleaned out now, and you can see how bad it really just is. I've dealt with worse, so I can repair this. This is not going to be a big deal at all. Alright guys, so far here's how much I have cut out. I do still need to get out the spot welds on these and get these out. Now it's a little tough because really kind of hard to get these spot welds out. Tried to drill them out and that absolutely sucked. So honestly, I'm just prying them out and it's working pretty good, as you can see I did on this side. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a flap disc and, you know, just smooth it out right after. But I still have to do this side too. You can see I am cutting it out all the way, and we're gonna stop right here. Everything after that point of that line that I cut is actually still pretty good looking, so I'm not too worried about that. This thing I'm probably gonna have to cut out too, because this thing was rusted all apart. But here's all the old metal that I have right here. Not done yet, but we're gonna finish this up real quick. Man, this thing is looking good. Hold on, let me grab the light for y'all. Boom. So this is it, kind of rough cut in. See, I got a couple little tiny gaps, but a lot of it's actually really good. And I still actually have to go on the underside and mark this thing. So like that part, it's like kind of sitting up a little bit. I got a little stuff to do, but honestly, it's not even that bad. I can do this. And what I was saying was, like, I'm gonna go under here and mark where these frame rails are, so I can put some spot welds down and just do all the right steps. And you see that rust over there, I'm gonna put my finger over it, right over there. I'm gonna replace that before I actually mount this panel down. So yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of repairs beforehand, but it's coming along pretty good. All right, the trunk floor is almost done. It's actually looking pretty good up in here. Pretty well complete. Welded up pretty much all the seams. I have my spot welds in. You can kind of see them all around. Only gap that I have left is that one right there, and I'm gonna weld that up. And once I weld that up, I have seam sealer, so I'm gonna seal up this whole thing, and then I'm actually gonna POR 15 or either no, I'm probably gonna POR 15 the whole thing. I almost was gonna do truck bed liner, but I have to do that actually on the underside. So yes, this whole thing will get POR 15, the underside will get bed liner, and we are finished. Sorry guys, I don't have too much footage storage left, so I'm trying to hurry up and finish this right now. All right, she is finished. Look at that. That looks amazing. Coated it with POR 15, so this thing is never going to rust again. The underside, y'all seen. I don't know if I double show y'all again. So the underside, I did undercoat the entire thing. The whole trunk floor is POR 15 at the top, so this thing is actually sealed up. Should never rust again. I even seam seal. You can kind of see the lines a little bit. Put some seam sealer over all of the welds. So yeah, this thing is not coming back apart, man. This thing is actually permanently installed, and it looks amazing. Now, with that being said, I'm gonna cut the video here. I have more to come. I actually have some more parts that just arrived, but that'll be for another video. Appreciate you guys sticking with me, and let's see what the new year brings. Anyways, if you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.